In the original story of Peter Pan, Peter murders members of the Lost Boys when they grow too old. He did this because being an adult was against the rules in Neverland. In the middle of battles with pirates, Peter would also switch sides to kill members of the Lost Boys just for fun. Up until the 1800s, Turkish women who were accused of cheating on their husbands were tied up in a sack filled with cats, then thrown in the ocean. In 1977, 20-year-old Colleen Stan was kidnapped while hitchhiking in California. She was locked in a box the size of a coffin under her kidnapper's bed for 7 years. She had to lie still and couldn't make any noise for 23 hours a day in pitch-black darkness. Her kidnapper was only caught when his wife finally reported him to police. During a World War II battle in the Pacific, American soldier Thomas Baker was badly wounded but refused to be evacuated. Instead, he ordered his squad to leave him propped up against a tree with nothing but a pistol and 8 bullets. Later, they returned to find Baker dead holding an empty pistol, with 8 dead Japanese soldiers lying around him. 65 years after it crash-landed on a beach in Wales, an American P-38 fighter plane emerged from the sand where it lay buried. After Colonel Robert Gould Shaw was killed in the Second Battle of Fort Wagner in 1863, he was buried in a mass grave as an insult for leading the first all-black regiment in American history. When troops tried to recover his body, his father proudly said, "We will not have his body removed from where it lies, surrounded by his brave and devoted soldiers." In 1999, Richard Anthony Jones was convicted of a felony even though he had a strong alibi. He spent 17 years in prison until authorities found his doppelganger living in the same town with the same first name. This is a photo of mobsters hiding their faces from the media during Al Capone's trial in 1931. In 2014, a man from Queens, New York spent 5 months in prison, unaware that his bail was only $2. In the year 2000, 6-year-old Diedrich Owens brought a gun to school and shot and killed 6-year-old Kayla Rowland after she refused to kiss him. Because of his age, he couldn't be legally prosecuted, and he remains the youngest school shooter to date. This is a comparison of a pug in 1880 versus what the breed looks like today. The pug was selectively bred to feature an extremely flat face, which has contributed to severe breathing difficulties as well as eye problems in many of these dogs. If a person dies on a plane during a flight, their body is typically moved to an empty first-class seat until the plane lands. After the Titanic disaster, the U.S. Congress passed a law requiring passenger vessels to carry more lifeboats. But the added weight made one ship called the SS Eastland too top-heavy. In 1915, the ship capsized before even leaving the dock, killing 844 people. In 1986, a 5-year-old boy fell into a gorilla enclosure at the Jersey Zoo and lost consciousness. But a male gorilla named Jumbo stood between the boy and the other gorillas in a protective gesture. He even stroked the boy's back to comfort him until he was rescued. This incident helped create a positive public perception of gorillas. Costing $39 million per gallon, scorpion venom is the most expensive liquid in the world. A species of wild mountain goat called the picardo went extinct in the year 2000, but cells from the last animal were frozen in liquid nitrogen and scientists were able to clone it. This made the picardo the first species of animal to become de-extinct. Sadly, the clone died only 7 minutes after being born, also making it the only species to go extinct twice. Across the lagoon of Venice, Italy lies Poveglia Island, a lifeless place with a disturbing past. The island originally served as a quarantine station for 18th century travelers who might have the bubonic plague. But as the disease got worse and worse, it quickly became a death pit for plague victims. Over 150,000 people were thrown into graves or cremated on the island, as more than 50% of the island's soil is said to consist of human ash. But its history only gets darker from there. In the 1920s, authorities built a mental hospital on the island. Supposedly, the doctor in charge tortured his patients before going mad and throwing himself from the bell tower. Since 1968, the island has been abandoned and sealed off from public access. In 1999, the Davises had to give up their pet chimpanzee Mo after it bit off the finger of a woman who was visiting their California home. He was placed in a monkey sanctuary called Animal Haven Ranch. On Mo's 39th birthday, the couple visited him with a cake when two other chimps escaped from their enclosures. They approached the couple and started attacking them for not giving them cake too. Chimpanzees are twice as strong as humans and have no limits for savagery. They have also been known to attack body parts that humans need for survival. So acting accordingly, they ripped off the husband's face and bit off his fingers as well as his floppy trouser snake. The man was conscious during the whole attack and managed to survive after dozens of surgeries. Shortly afterwards, Mo escaped from the sanctuary and was never seen again. In 1987, 17-year-old Daniel LaPlante killed a nursery school teacher and her two kids in Townsend, Massachusetts. But despite conducting a massive manhunt, authorities couldn't find him afterwards. Not long after, a girl who he previously dated opened her closet one night. She found David standing there with a machete, and he was wearing her mother's clothes with makeup smeared across his face. He then tied the family up, but the youngest sibling managed to escape and alert police. But once again, they couldn't find Daniel. 2 weeks later, the family had moved out, but they decided to drive past their home only to find Daniel standing in the window watching them. The police were called once again and Daniel was finally arrested in the home. Upon further inspection, it turned out that he had been living in their home the whole time that they were looking for him. The Scold's Bridle was a device that was used to publicly humiliate women until the 19th century. On the inside, the device had a metal plate that would press down on the tongue and prevent the wearer from speaking. It was placed on women who were said to be troublesome to keep them quiet and prevent them from gossiping. This is a powerful photo of a starving Ugandan boy holding the hand of a missionary in 1980. For many years, the lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd told his bandmates that he wouldn't live to the age of 30. His dad reported that even when he was a child, Ronnie would often say, "Daddy, I'll never be 30 years old." When his father asked why he kept saying this, Ronnie would just reply, "Daddy, that's my limit." Sure enough, when he was 29 years old, Ronnie Van Zant died in a plane crash. Tim Burton is often inspired by his childhood artwork, which is when he developed his unique style. Many of his characters are based on drawings he did as a child, including Edward Scissorhands and Frankenweenie. In October of 1994, the movies Jurassic Park, Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, and Forrest Gump were all in theaters at the same time. When he was 37 years old, legendary actor Jack Nicholson found out that his sister was actually his mother. Tom Hanks intentionally gained 50 pounds to film the first half of Castaway. He then took a year off to lose weight and grow out his hair before filming the second half. During the break, the director and most of the crew went on to film the movie What Lies Beneath. In December of 1980, a 19-year-old girl from Minnesota was involved in a car accident in sub-zero temperatures. After the crash, her car wouldn't start, so she walked towards a friend's house who lived 2 miles away. When she was just 15 feet from her friend's front door, she collapsed. That night, temperatures dropped to negative 30 degrees Celsius, and no one was around to help her. 6 hours later, she was discovered frozen solid. She was immediately transported to a nearby hospital, but her skin was too hard to even pierce with a needle. Amazingly, she was still alive, but her pulse was only measured at 12 beats per minute. Hoping for a miracle, doctors wrapped her in a heated blanket, and 2 hours later, she regained consciousness. After 49 days in the hospital, she completely recovered and suffered no permanent damage to any part of her body. Teddy Roosevelt's son Quentin fought in World War I as a pilot. He was killed in a dogfight and his plane crashed behind enemy lines. But the Germans gave him a full military burial with honors. They apparently admired the fact that a president's son chose to fight. During World War II, prisoners of war were treated so nicely in Canada that many of them didn't want to leave when they were released. During the same war, Soviet forces tried to train dogs to run under enemy tanks with bombs on their backs. However, this evil plan fortunately ended up failing miserably. Because the dogs had been trained using Soviet tanks, when it came to the real battlefield, many dogs ended up running under friendly Soviet tanks, blowing them up instead.